Welcome to the Concrete Podcast, where we bring together the people who design it, produce it, place it, and build with it every day. Our goal is simple: to unify the concrete industry by sharing real conversations about materials, methods, and the challenges we're all working to solve. From ready-mix producers, contractors, engineers, researchers, and innovators, this podcast is about learning from each other and pushing our industry forward. Hello, my name is Joe Shutterly. I'd like to welcome you to our first podcast this morning. I'm here with my co-host, Joel Cookston.
Nice to see you, sir.
Good morning, Joel.
It is, it's good to be here.
Yes, been a long time overdue to get our story out there.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
So today, audience, that's where we're going to start with, is kind of give you a background of how I've evolved, become into existence, and how many people ask, how did you do this? So I think we'll take this time to kind of give you a background of how we got here. So let me take you back to my childhood, because this is where it all starts. I didn't know that 54 years ago when I was born, that my path was going to be in the concrete industry. No one ever does where their path's going to be. But E5's path started 54 years ago at my birth. I was born into a family, one of an atheistic father that had no morals whatsoever. My mother was a Southern Baptist lady. We were raised with two different perspectives of life, and it wasn't until 1978 that when my mom gave her life to Jesus Christ, and then a year later my dad did, our life started to change. Recently, my father passed away 4 years ago, and I told this story at his funeral. He always wore this medallion around his neck, and the medallion was the Jewish Star of David. And on the back of it was a date. That date said January of 1979. And there was a day that I was there with him toward his last days of life, and he had lost it. And he was looking for it and wanted to know where that was at. Well, I'm searching around on the floor looking for wherever he might have dropped it. And I did. I found it underneath the chair. I pulled it up, and I seen that date on the back. And when I looked at it, it just kind of struck me like, what is this? So I handed it to my dad, and I said, Dad, what is this date? What does this mean? And he said, that's the day I chose to give my life to Christ. Well, that hit me very hard that day when he said chose. I started to think about that word, chose. My dad chose to serve Christ from that day on, and it changed our entire family history. From a person that had no belief in God to a person that gave his life to Christ, changed our direction of our entire family. I didn't know it back then. The choice that he made back then, I was only 7 years old. But when he started to take us to church, that's where my belief system kicked in. And my belief system was predicated on faith. There's nothing impossible. All things that you can do or God provides a way. And there's one particular lady that was instrumental in my faith, and that was Betty Cloud. Betty Cloud was the pastor's wife that could not have children. And every Friday of the month, she would have a little workers' party where the kids would come in and the parents could go do whatever they needed to go do. And it was for 3 hours. Well, Betty brung us in, and she would teach us how to read the Bible, how to pray, and we'd have snacks, but we didn't really, as kids, realize what she was doing to us at all. We just knew that we were there having fun, and everything she did made it fun, but she was a loving person, very loving person. So that's where I actually met my wife. She was 6. I was 6. I met my wife at that time. Betty Cloud gave me a Bible at 6 years old, and that Bible, she wrote a scripture in it. And that scripture today stays with me. and I still have that Bible that she gave me. It is my little lamp, my little guide still today of all the things that she taught me growing up. Now, fast forward, I started dating my wife, 15 years old, and we are still together today. She is my rock. She's my everything. Without her, I don't think I could exist.
She does keep you grounded.
Yes, very much. And there's a reason for that. We got married in 1991, and I started to work in the union where my father was the supervisor. My father was a hardcore union man, 30 plus years in the industry, very traditional mindset. His construction sites were very clean, very military, perfection, down to the T, and that's the way he raised myself and my two brothers and my sister. He expected perfection. Even though we can't hit perfection, he still demanded perfection. Dad was not a big guy to compliment you. He wasn't a teacher, but he did expect his children to do right. Walk right, be right. It's the way he wanted you to be, and your name meant everything. So he started a construction company in 1986 with my older brother, and it was called Trace Construction. I was like on cloud nine that my father started a construction company. Every young kid thinks that's great. Like my dad started a construction company, and
There's pride.
what you don't know is what you don't know is there's pains and growing pains when you're starting a construction company, but I did not know those pains. I just went to work for my dad after I got married, and I was proud to work for my dad. He was he was my hero. I wanted to make him proud every time I did something. So most of my drive to finish and to perfect and to understand things comes because I always wanted to make sure I wanted my dad to be proud of everything I put my hands to. And he was a hard man to make proud. There's not too many times I remember in my life where he said he was like, I'm proud. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I don't think of any at the time.
Now, he wasn't military, was he?
Yes, he was. Okay. Drafted in 1963.
Okay, so that's where that indoctrination of work ethic
where it came from. Mm-hmm. Take the story a little farther. Me and Lisa had our first child in 1995, Gabriel Stone, and then we had our second child in 1997, Hannah Marie, and this is the bleep in the radar that sets everything in motion. So everything from there back was my learning process, learning belief systems, learning what God could do, marrying my high school sweetheart, setting my life's foundation from that time period was really what I was working on, but didn't know it. And my foundation was heavily built on faith. Mm-hmm. And then
work drive.
Yeah, faith, work drive. Yeah. It was all about that and doing things right and making sure, like the two greatest commandments Christ ever said. Love the Lord thy God with all your heart, all thy soul, and all your mind, but love your neighbor as you love yourself. Mm-hmm. I mean, I take that to heart even today. Right. We should treat each other better than we treat ourselves. So at the end of the day, Hannah comes into the world. I told this story to a gentleman yesterday. I did not name my children. A couple hours before the delivery, I'd walk out in the hallways and I'd ask God, what do you want to name your children? Because names mean a lot. They carry a lot of weight. And every name God would give me, I named my children what he said. So Hannah came, and Hannah was named after the Samuel's mother, the prophet. And the Lord said she'd be a preacher. And I thought, oh, Lord, a little baby preacher, a little girl preacher. This ought to be interesting.
And there was a time where that resonated with you, the preacher calling.
Yes, I was called to preach. And that's a difficult discussion and a whole nother conversation. Right. Hannah, about 18 months old, would not answer to her name. So we thought she was deaf. And then the questions start coming like, all right, what's going on? So my wife takes her to Riley. We start getting some tests done. And unofficially, they say she has autism. Along with, back then, they called it mild mental retardation. Well, I'm 24, and I'm starting to get into my craft. I really like to work and do this.
Concrete.
And we had just went through a family split of the company where I took over. My brother went and did his thing. And then my dad said, it's your turn. So I started getting involved in the company to grow it. I wasn't expecting that news. So I went about my business because they said they couldn't officially diagnose her until she was 3. So a year and a half goes by, and we're starting to see different meltdowns and things start to take play. And then we finally... Behaviors were going on. And then we get into the 3rd year where we go to Riley to get the official. And when I get the official diagnosis that day, it was a wrecking ball. I walk in, doctor comes in, and I can still remember it just as I'm sitting here. He comes in, and there was no bedside manners. He just opens his folder. Here's what your daughter has. Intellectual disabilities, mild mental retardation. She has autism. She will be nonverbal. She will not have a cognitive skill over a 4-year-old. She will have to be bathed, clothed every day of your life. And she might live to be 80, but your marriage might only have a 15% chance of survival. Well, when you're 25 years old, you're like, what? I mean, you guys don't have pills for this? Like, you can't fix this stuff? No, not at all. That's the day I always say I lost my wife. That's the day that I didn't know my wife anymore. She had changed. It was instant. So the person I knew at 6 years old started dating at 15, got married, and knew the joy and everything and the athletic personality of her that day left that hospital was gone. I just didn't know it at the time. And then we left there and we took 2 different paths. Me and my wife took 2 different paths. She decided to dive into my child's life. I decided to dive into work. So I killed my pain through work. Right. And I became...
Which most people would.
Yeah, I became... Well, men, we do this. We can't fix it. Right. I can't fix it. There's no fix to this.
And the moms are the nurturers.
Right? Mom's nurture. Right. So I was like, no, I can't handle all that stuff I just heard. No, ooh, boy.
Run.
Yeah, I don't know what to do here. I know what it needed to do. Oh, we're going to need a lot of money. We're going to need a lot of medical
care,
testing, care. Everything's going to have to come. Mm-hmm. So then I'm going to fast forward this a little bit. Now, that's Hannah at 3. Now let's move Hannah now at 14, 15, 16 years old. I have now been in the industry for a long time, and I had grown Trace Construction to be a pretty good-sized powerhouse in Indiana.
Tripled, probably?
We became...
Tripled the size that you got it from your dad?
Yeah. 10 times.
10 times.
10 times the size.
Oh, heavens.
We had a lot of employees. We had a great name in the business, and we were moving along. And in between that, me and my wife became very distant in this. And there's one particular time in this story that I was driving around 465, and it was in the summer, and Lisa called me, and Hannah was having a extreme bad day, probably one of her worst days we had ever experienced with her. And Lisa goes, you need to come home. And I just said, I can't. I've got too much going on. I've got all this work. I got employees. I mean, I was running 58 employees. I had 1 estimator. My mom did the books, and I ran everything. So we were humming. So just to stop in the middle of the day to go was not. And I just said, no, can't be there, and hung the phone up. That day was a huge shift for me spiritually, because I got off the phone, and I started in my truck, and I said, Lord, I know your Bible. I know it says this, and this, and why don't you just do this? I have the faith, and this, and this. And the Lord called me out in the truck and said, no, you're a liar. I've gave you things to do, and you still refuse to do them. Goes back to you've been called to preach thing. And you've got other things I've gave you to do, and you still not
And you're
done.
chasing after money
and
I'm success.
I'm only asking God right there at that moment to put this to bed so I can go on with my life. Not necessarily saying, Lord, what's your will? I was saying, hey, this is my will. This is what I want.
Can you move everything else out of the way for me?
It's inconvenient me that this is a problem. And when he did, I stopped praying for 5 years. Didn't go to church, didn't do it for 5 years. Because when God calls you out, yeah, that's a humbling moment. What else you going to say? You just been called out on the carpet. So in between those kind of 5 years, that's where I get introduced into a lot of things. I got introduced first to a set of people that I was working out with, and these individuals was working out had done some non-for-profit type of work, and I had another argument with my wife about 2 months before that led up to this meeting somehow. My wife had asked me to watch an episode on Dateline in 2013, and it was about children like Hannah aging out of the school system and how we're headed to this downfall if we don't get our stuff together. Well, I was already in a bad mood. It's ticked off. In between those 5 years of not praying, going to church, I became a very angry, bitter person. I did not like life. I didn't like anything about it. I just felt like I'll be honest with you, I was acting like a spoiled brat.
Like you did everything right leading up to this. Why now do I have to take this burden?
Yeah, and I'm just like, this is dumb. I've tried to live my life all the way. Me and God had a lot of...
Heart to heart.
Thank God for grace is all I'm going to say.
Yes, sir.
So at the end, as I was arguing with Lisa to watch this episode, I went down and watched it, and I'm listening to this episode. I'm listening to these couple talk about their child, and I'm like, yeah, okay, who doesn't have that issue? And then they go, well, because of this issue, they got a divorce. The husband said, I can't take it no more. He left, started a whole new life in Florida, left her with the child. She stayed in New York, quit her law firm, dug into her child because there was nowhere for him to go. There was no programs or this or that after he got out of the high school program. And I instantly judged her and said, well, she's lazy. You're going to tell me that in this country where greed, capitalism runs at a high rampant state, that no one's built this.
And there's services everywhere for everything. I can go to and buy whatever I want. Amazon Prime me. You're telling me that I can't find something for my kid?
Yeah. And I said, she can't do that. I said, nah, ain't no way. And my wife looked.
She just says hasn't looked hard enough.
No, and that's exactly what I judged her. I said, nah, there's some capitalist already making money off this somewhere. I said, I'll find it. And she goes, well, my wife looked right at me. She goes, go right ahead. See what you can do.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge me. So we kept picking at each other. And she goes, well, tell you what, you need to take a drive, cool off. So I did. I got in my truck, left, took a drive, ended up on a country road. As I was sitting there on that country road, I stopped. And after 5 years, I looked over to the side. Sun was there, and I said, all right, Lord, can't lie to you. This is not looking too good. And I don't think I'm going to make it. I don't think any of this is going to make it. Like, I don't have the strength to do this.
The doctor was right.
And it's like,
this
wow.
is not gonna
and
succeed.
the Lord just, in my truck, said, hey, I'm going to tell you again. When are you going to listen? I'll show you your life's mission and vision as soon as you listen. And when you do, I want you to build it right out there. I said, all right, I'm crazy. I'm moving on. And I drove, and for several weeks, things would pop into my head, questions. And I'm like, well, that's odd. Where'd that come from? And then I would ask those questions to my wife. I said, hey, Lise, what if there was a place created? A place that where we could call and go, hey, Hannah needs 2 hours of respite care, 2 hours of music therapy, 2 hours of art therapy, 1 hour of swim therapy, and maybe some PT. And then you schedule that. You take her, and she gets it all under one place. And then you could possibly get your needs met as a mother, medically, physically, spiritually, right there in the same building. Or you could just say, no, I got a day of shopping I need to go do. And she goes, yeah, where does that exist?
Because at this point, you had been outsourcing or finding locations for all these different things, right?
Correct.
Successfully, unsuccessfully?
Unsuccessfully, mostly. Mostly drive time just for Hannah to get 5 minutes of nothing.
Right.
And she goes, well, that place doesn't exist. I said, well, I've got this idea in my head floating. And
I'm a builder.
when I get things in my head, it starts going, okay. Well, I knew where the ideas were coming. God just kept flooding my mind with these things, and I started scratching these things out on paper. And that leads me up to meeting the people that were in the gym, because they had done non-for-profit organizations. Now, this point, this is a triangle of me meeting those people, me having these little clips of visions or thoughts of what was going on over here, to now I'm getting introduced to a group of people called Joel Cookston in the group. And I'm getting introduced to these guys because of Chris Wolf from Shelby Materials was watching a demo that you guys were putting on by polishing concrete, and he was amazed on what was happening at the surface with this material. And somehow talked to the person in charge out there that day and got a little bit of that material and started playing around with it in his garage. And he was just amazed on what he was able to do. This perfect triangle is where the story all now is going to explode to where we're at today. So sorry for taking so long getting there.
No, it's good. You
this
have
is
to
where
have
it's
the
at.
backstory. You know, the catalysts, the things that made you stop in your tracks to say, okay, God, you know, I'm here. I need some help. I need some solution. Because you tried to find services for Hannah for a long time, unsuccessfully, probably. And then at your wit's end.
Yeah.
You're just like,
completely.
Okay, I'll listen. And then these things started popping up in your life. Now, obviously, they probably didn't start popping up immediately.
No.
As we all think God works.
Right.
However,
No, he definitely got his own timing.
However, your eyes were open to the fact that the folks you're working out with, the folks that your concrete supplier, all these things. And interesting that you say pyramid or triangle.
Yeah, it's a triangle. Yeah, you can go to that. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost real quick in the triangle. But as these things started to come, I was over here with this group, and I was asking questions on how to set up a nonprofit
And this
organization.
is the group you're working out with.
Yeah, the group I was working out with.
Yep.
Even though they set up a soccer non-for-profit, I was like, hey, I got this idea. What do you guys think?
How do these things work?
And the idea, and I shot it to him. She goes, well, we got a buddy that could maybe help. He was an attorney, and he could probably help us get started. Lo and behold, we met at McAllister's.
Your favorite place.
In my favorite
Shout out
place
to
eat.
McAllister's.
Yep, shout out to McAllister's. Deli, unsweet tea. Scott Milkey was the attorney that I met to get this started. And we sat there at McAllister's, and I gave him my idea what this all could be and how I had just started dabbling in the chemical side of this with Chris. Like, I'd only been messing with it 1 month. And I did a test pour with Chris in the group, and I was amazed on what it did, and it kind of hooked me in. And then I was like excited about something in concrete.
Which, for our viewers, Mr. Wolf worked for a ready-mix producer here in central Indiana.
And that ready-mix producer is Shelby Materials.
Yes, sir.
Which was my #1 producer for my entire career.
They were your partner?
Yes, they are.
And they provided the sandbox that you're saying you guys kind of played in.
Correct. So as this all is going on, this is exciting, but I was more excited about what God was giving me to help others. I was more excited about helping others versus, hey, I get the concrete world's big and you guys got big ideas what you might be able to do with chemicals and stuff like this. But, man, there is no better reward than helping others. When you can give to others and see their needs meet, there's just a joy and a peace that the vocabulary, there's no vocabulary for it.
Right. So you obviously had your mother's upbringing, right, with that giving piece. You had your father's upbringing with the business piece, and now you had something in your mind that said, you know what, I could help people, but there also, how much admixtures do you use every day in your concrete business? And you thought probably to yourself, here's an idea.
Yeah, there's something brewing
There's
here.
a solution.
So I get this, and I said, all right, so we set, and we called it the Giving Hope Foundation. It was formed February 15th of 2015. And it started. And that was my drive because Hannah was my drive.
Mm-hmm.
This place would help my daughter and all the other families like her. What I didn't know, what this foundation was actually going to morph into. And as this story continues, this foundation morphs into just more than, it's not just for disabilities.
Right.
For my family, autism and IDD is what hinders my family from operating in certain functions. God wants this place to help families, whatever's hurting their family and operating in his
And that's
function.
where it's morphed to. Because in the beginning,
Correct.
Right, in 15,
It was just autism.
It was very focused on a singular thing.
Correct.
Right? And then I think it morphed into, and correct me if I'm wrong, it morphed into more of like the disability community, right, as a whole. And then just recently, right, I think it's morphing into something a little more special.
So now as these I call two big gigantic asteroids floating in space headed toward a planet, I had this side I started dabbling in with the chemical side. I had Giving Hope on this side where I could just feel like I could help everyone and anyone.
Right.
And then I still had my construction side going. Life felt pretty good, but it was very busy. Problem of it is I still hadn't dealt with my problems. I still hadn't dealt with all the problems I had at home with Hannah and Lisa and things. I might have been slowly reconciling my relationship with God, but I wasn't reconciling my relationship with my wife and my family, my boys. That was okay. That was a wake-up call. So as I go down this path in 2015, I started working with the gentleman that owned Specification Products. Specification Products was owned by another gentleman that wanted to bring this product into market as a topical application. This is how I met Joel.
Yes, sir.
Joel was I'm not going to speak for you, Joel.
Oh, it's all good.
I'll let you.
Go
ahead.
Yes. So in the beginning, Specification Products was created to be a distribution company for this liquid that obviously we found with a partner of mine back in the day for polishing concrete. This is when JCPenney's and Sears were going through the revitalization process of ripping up their carpets and polishing, right?
Yep.
And then my business partner at the time thought there's an opportunity with this polishing, and so that was the start of, well, let's create a distribution company for this liquid, right? And it was given to kind of a banker guy, right? A venture capitalist, somebody that had a very deep background in financial. Didn't necessarily understand the construction industry, and that's where I think he threw it and said, I can't do this anymore. Throw it. And who was around, and you were around.
Yeah, and that's where I met this individual in this process. I had nothing to do with it. I was just the guy that had touched it because Mr. Wolf wanted me to touch it because he was excited. It kind of hooked me in, and then I kind of got introduced to you and the party, and then it was kind of like, all right, Joe, what could you do with this?
Right.
These are the problems we're having, and then can you supply labor to test it and build this and blah, blah, blah.
Just use it and vet it and see what you could do with it.
And I was kind of like,
'Cause we
okay,
didn't know
well,
what it
here's an
was.
opportunity that I could form up some stuff, vet it, test it, get my feedback, get paid for this. And then he asked me, he goes, hey, would you be interested in an opportunity of taking Specification Products over? And I was like, what's the catch? There's always a catch. So after a few talks, he said, no, I will hand you the company because I don't believe it's ever going to succeed.
Right.
It's never going to get it off the ground.
He couldn't get his hands around the construction industry, the model, the sales cycle. I mean, it's very challenging.
Yeah.
Obviously.
In between that time, there's a moment, and I feel really like I need to mention this because this is very important. One of the individuals that had guided this businessman to get into this, I hadn't seen for over 20 years. And he had came to my office once I got involved in this and asked me what I thought about this. And I thought, well, I think it's pretty good and it's promising. But one thing puzzled me. There's thousands of concrete finishers in Indiana. why y'all want me to do it so bad? Like, why me? And I asked him that. And I said, why didn't you guys just get anyone? And that gentleman looked at me and he said, I was told not to. You were the one supposed to have this. Now, I hadn't seen this guy for 20 years. And when he told me that, I'm always skeptical. Concrete guys are the most skeptical people in the world. I'm telling you right now. And I'm probably the biggest skeptic in concrete. But when he looked at me like that, I thought that was very interesting. Oh, little phone call during podcast. Ain't that something?
It's so important.
Yeah. That was very interesting when he said that. So I said, okay, I'm listening. He goes, well, Joe, about a year ago, I was in the hospital. I'd overdosed. And he said, God gave me a second chance, and I gave my life back to Christ, and I went back to church. And he goes, I was sitting in church, and I was involved with a lot of this stuff. And he said, the Lord told me this was for you. You needed this for your daughter. Okay, now you got to remember, I'm skeptical, and I'm hearing him say that to me, and I've already got my religious battles going on through and through, and all this stuff. This is just all too weird happening. And I said, well, I respect that, appreciate it, I hear it, I accept it, and thank you. And so we chatted a minute, he left, and when he shut that door, and I remember sitting right there at my desk, and the Lord said, I told you, when you listen, I will give you your life's mission and vision. I said, okay. So then all these opportunities for 8 months started shaping up. And then in December of 15, December 17th, 2015, that was my birthday. Me and my wife set at McAllister's again.
Shout out to McAllister.
8 months after setting up Giving Hope, I signed the papers and I took ownership of Specification Products, known as Element 5 then. And I walked out of there, and my wife said, well, what are you going to do? I said, this is for our daughter and for every person that is affected like her, and we're going to build this for people. And she goes, okay. And I grabbed it that day, and I dove into it, and we started experimenting with the topical products in every project Trace Construction did. All we did was topical sprays and spray and spray and tested. We learned real quick, not all topicals were the same.
Nope.
We had to do a lot of modifications. I had a lot of mistakes, and I had to fix a lot of things.
And let's be honest, no one, and I mean no one, had used this liquid topically.
No.
This is a liquid that has primarily been used
Polish.
Polishing, but 90% of it globally is made for paper, for paints, for all this other stuff. But nobody, until us, started using this stuff.
And because of our,
naivety.
Yes, we were naive.
We didn't know anything.
But one thing we did know, Joel,
what it was.
We knew concrete, and we wasn't afraid of concrete.
You knew concrete.
No,
I had no idea.
I wasn't afraid of it. I'm like, it's concrete, people.
You intimidated me. I mean,
I had learned from my dad.
Big construction
Concrete's concrete, man. You get it, you own it.
Yeah.
And you get it finished, and you better know it, and you better get on it, and you do not lose concrete, ever. And another thing my dad did, and goes, and don't let me see you throw water on it, or you're all fired. You should not be sitting on a bucket. You shouldn't be doing anything. You should be working from the time it hits. There's always something to do. And it's like, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And let me tell you, if he came up and knew we threw water on it, oh, yeah, we were fired. He'd have a whole nother crew there the next day. I've seen it happen. So if we were going to use water to get ahead of something, we made sure Dad wasn't on the job. As Chris Wolf would say,
don't let that see you.
The kids do different things when mom's away.
When mom and dad ain't around.
We were learning problems with the topicals, what not to do, what to do.
Timing.
And timing, everything changed. But then as we started to perfect it, people around town were starting to figure out Joe wasn't having as many problems and was starting to win a lot more bids than most people. And then it started getting some traction. And then I had met a very interesting individual in this endeavor that helped me understand a little bit of the business world, but also the intellectual property side. And he came down to watch what I was doing. And, of course, I was like, What's he going to do? Try to steal everything we're doing?
Right.
You know, you're self-protective of everything
and
now.
it was very cloak and dagger in the beginning. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
We didn't know where this product was coming
Nope.
from.
Didn't even know what the chemical was.
We didn't know what it was. We knew it was milky liquid, right?
Yep.
And we knew what it had done in the polishing world. And then through your topical applications, we knew what it was doing there. But other than that, we had
didn't know.
no idea until this gentleman.
Till this gentleman came. And this gentleman educated us on what we were doing, because this product was being used in 1987 by ExxonMobil during oil fracking because it had the properties to bind water. And we sat down and we talked for him for hours on things. And he finally told us what it was, how it works, and this and that, and how he could set us with a manufacturer instead of getting it where we were getting it from, because we didn't know where we were getting it from. It was from this guy to this guy to this guy. That's all we knew.
Many hands, yes.
Many hands on it. And then he put us in contact, and then we started working, or I did, and Shelby, and started working with these people to figure out this topical application. And after that connection of the manufacturer and me, that's where things started to get a lot better. First of all, I did not go to college. I went straight to work. I had never understood chemistry, couldn't even tell you what it was back then. And I did not know the vocabulary on how to talk to a guy.
But you had
in that
field
world.
education.
I had a ton of field education. I could close my eyes and
Right, you
understand.
could feel it.
So when we got together, we had some interesting conversations. So he would bring out a version and say, try this. So I would spray it on, and I'm sitting here floating it in. I said, I don't like it. It's too sticky. It's too this. It's too that. No, I just seen a crack, a plastic shrinkage crack. What happened? He goes, what are you talking about? Explain to me what you mean by sticky, by this. I said, well, it's got too much drag under the float, or I can start to see the evaporation in the water, and I could see the plastic shrinkage crack coming. And I said, so what's going on? And so when I showed him that, and he goes, okay, I understand. So he'd come back over his world and go, oh, I had this, this, and this, and then that'll help this, this, this. So we had to understand each other's vocabulary. He taught me his vocabulary. I taught him mine. And then all of a sudden things started to click. So we get down a year down the road with him. We file some IP. We get it all filed. And then one of my biggest competitors calls me, and actually called Dustin, wanted to know what I was doing.
From Shelby,
And wanted to know what I was doing, and wanted to know how they could get their hands on this, because obviously it works for Joe. It's going to work for everybody, because he just doesn't put stuff on his concrete for no reason.
They knew you.
Well, they knew our company as we did our work. We had a very good reputation.
Absolutely.
We did not throw junk on the ground.
Head down, do the work, win the bids.
And if you wanted the truth, people came to us for truth. If they didn't want the truth, they
That's
wouldn't.
Shetterly name.
Yeah, they did not want to come and hear the truth. Like, So if a product came to us and they wanted our opinion or our truth on that, we knew that they were pretty confident that their product worked.
Right.
And then if it didn't, they got the truth.
They would know.
Nah, that didn't work.
They would
You
know.
we don't need that.
Right.
So once we started vetting all that out, I get the call, and Dustin goes, hey, man, this might be an opportunity, blah, blah, blah.
To sell to other people.
To like, move
distribute
this out.
this thing. At this point, you had Specification Products. It really wasn't doing anything because
No.
you were trying to understand the product, the chemistry, how it worked, why it worked, what it was. And so there was a lot of pieces that you were trying to put together.
Well, there was a lot of pieces from the work earlier on when the original owner had it that was trying to send buckets out to get people to do
Right.
it, and I was cleaning up a little bit of that
There
mess
was some
from,
black eyes made from
that.
when people don't understand how to utilize a product and you just give it to them, oh, this works. I've seen it work. Buy it. Well, if they don't understand how to use it, then there's a high probability it's going to fail.
Absolutely.
Right. And so there's a lot of cleanup that you did.
We had to clean a lot of that up in 15, 16, 17. Well, in 18, 19, things started to change. Wilhelm took over the product
Now,
on a job.
when is this when about the time where topical you thought,
Started off topical.
right? So
We did not understand admixture world at all. Nobody did.
Right.
And when we started to get into the admixture world, this is where I made a lot of the people that were involved with me very, very nervous. Because I looked at it and said, look, if we got to continue topically, as good as this works, spraying this on, I'm not buying it. And I even own it.
And why would you say, well, I don't want another topical?
It was too labor intensive. And when you got to spray it on more than once, twice, your problem of risk goes way up. You can oversaturate. You can cause agglomerations with these products, and then that can cause delamination, and it just become very problematic. You can't pour 25, 30,000 square foot and just keep spraying and think you're going to hit every square foot.
Pump sprayers.
And then that's why the 3-step system came out. Well, if you do it 3 times, you're obviously going to hit everything. Well, you can obviously overdose one area too, and then you get a problem. So I told them, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. Nah, something's got to change. And they go, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to order some concrete, and we're going to experiment. We're going to research. We're going to develop the old-fashioned way. We're going to spend some money. And we're going to throw this stuff in a truck, and we're just going to pour it on the ground. We'll see what it does.
Not your truck.
Not my truck, not my truck, not my truck. They made sure that if anything happened to that truck, I would be financially responsible to that truck.
I do remember that.
Yes, I do. And I put it in the truck. We poured it. And I'll tell you what, that slab's still there today.
Now, was that just pouring or was that pumping?
We poured it. It was just poured out of the truck. It was right on the plant site. Like, we did it just to make sure. But then after that, I washed it. I finished it. And then from there on, for a while, before we let it really get out there into the market, I wanted to make sure that we had pot life. So there's so much research and development went in it. From that time, I ain't got time to get into all that.
You're still going back to your manufacturing partner saying this. I mean,
this ain't working. This ain't working.
From topical to integral.
Yeah. So when everybody listening that you think you're going to go buy a colloidal silica, let me just save you some grief right now. Goodness. You are not going to go pull something off the shelf. E5 went through a lot of testing and research. It is not a pull off the shelf. Go stick it in your concrete. It has been changed. It has been modified to work in the concrete hydration phases. All these others will cause you problems. It will cause you headaches. And I ain't begging anybody, but I'm asking you, don't try to be a hero and think you're going to go figure all this out when it's already figured out. Okay? I don't need a black eye, and I love this chemistry. It has so much more promise for our industry. Right. I don't need everybody out there giving it a black eye, and I have to fix things. Just come to the source. We've already been through the pains and the aches. I will help you and get you guided in the right direction. It is not a simple.
I find colloidal silica is kind of like going to the shoe store, right? I mean, we all go to the shoe stores in the outlet malls or whatever, but you walk in and you don't just blindly grab a shoe off the shelf, right? That's what you're saying about colloidal silicas, right? They're all made for different purposes. You've got your work boots, you've got your tennis shoes, you got your flip-flops.
You got everything.
Right? They're all different.
So E5 has went through a lot of transformation. I build E5 prescriptively, like a pharmaceutical company.
Right.
And then that prescription chemistry lands with my partner in the industry, and they have it locked away. So when people are out there saying, I got the same as E5, I got this. No, you don't. You ain't got nothing. All you got is a fancy marketing term that you copied probably off us.
You've got a generic bucket of liquid that has not been
vetted, researched, tested, understood through the 5 stages of hydration, the complexities of the cements and the grinding aids and all that's already been vetted.
And we'll get into the nuances of colloidal silica, because that could be multiple episodes of completely sizes and modifications.
But as I learned, I dumped it into the truck. My group of people were like, it takes 10 years to do an admixture. And I said, well, we got
to build an admixture company.
Yeah, I said, well, we got about 10 months because I'm moving. I'm going on.
I'm doing this.
In between that time, I had an offer on the construction company to buy. A gentleman had been watching what I was doing from the side. He had seen the triangle effect going on. And he came to me and goes, hey, like what you're doing? See what you're doing. But I'm going to give you some business advice. He said, I sold my trucking company for a lot of money. And I was trying to run 3 things too. One suffered. I'd have got a whole lot more money on if I'd have just concentrated on one thing. Mm-hmm. He said, would you be interested in selling your construction side? And I was like, well,
your dad's business.
Okay. I need to talk to my father about this. So I went and had a discussion with my father. It was probably a very difficult discussion with him because it was his. He built it. Now, he turned it over to me in 2015, and then it was mine, but it was still his. And I said, Dad, I have this opportunity, and I want to continue to get Giving Hope off the ground, but I also want to work on this chemical side that I believe one day will be the conduit that keeps Giving Hope going. And he goes, son, I know your heart, and that's my granddaughter. Sell the business. Do what your heart tells you, and ultimately do what God told you. That's how me and your mom raised you. I said, yes, sir. So I sold it. Now, I'll tell you, that was not an easy decision. I'd put a lot of years, a lot of heart, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears
it was your identity.
in that company.
You
it was
were the
me.
concrete finisher, right?
I mean, that's it. I'm a finisher through and through. Mm-hmm. And to this day, I still go, I don't know if that was the right decision.
I wish I was back on the ground finishing concrete. There's just something very therapeutic.
It was,
about doing the same thing, knowing you're really good at your craft.
I could control that world.
Yeah,
that world was controllable because I held the contracts, I bought the mud, and I was able to do what I needed to do to create the success for the end user. Mm-hmm. Now, what I did not know in between these things, as all the hard work that went into doing that, I could have been saved a whole lot of work if this industry up here,
a whole lot of headache, liability,
would have been more educated on what they were selling me.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets interesting in this story, is because I started learning a lot of other things that caused me headaches in the construction industry.
Right. Which your partners may or may not have been aware of.
Maybe.
Right? We don't have to go there
Maybe.
quite yet.
But I sold the company, and then I dove full-time into E5 in 2019. Full bore, 100%. And it just started to kind of take off. But I was more having meetings on Giving Hope and things like this than I was really E5, and I was getting more...
That was your passion.
Yeah, I was getting more connections from the Giving Hope side. Man, work's just work. When we leave work, we have a family. Every one of us have family, and we have problems. Problems do not leave us. So some people go to work to get rid of their problems, but they're always got to go back and they're going to have problems. So I was worried about, how do I get this thing going to help people with whatever issues they might be going through or whatever their loved one's going through. But then that drive was this drive. So they both were a drive. Like, I need this, no money, no mission. And then I want this going so this thing can go smoothly. Yeah. And that became the drive. Hannah Marie Shutterly is my daughter. If she passed away today or something happened to her, I would still fulfill this mission, but there'd be a big hole. She's the reason this mission goes on. Period. End of story. E5 is driven because of her, and Giving Hope exists because of her and all the families that need her.
Yeah.
I didn't start this to go, I need another admixture business. God knows we don't need any more chemicals.
That is true.
We need less chemicals. So that is how E5 is established. One thing is interesting is I love about concrete finishers. Element 5 is the original name. It's the trademarked name. Element 5.
Do you want to
I
say
always
why?
said it's the fifth element to concrete.
There you
It's
go.
the last piece that helps us control water. Now, I'm sure every PhD and every doctor wants to argue that to a man on the moon. But for me, as a concrete finisher,
We know
man,
what it
it was the
does.
last element I needed to help me get to where I needed to get to help me finish concrete. So that the concrete finishers is responsible for calling it E5.
Yep.
They were in
They
the field
shortened
going,
it.
element, not E5.
E5.
So,
Give me some E5.
yep, that was it.
Right? And that's
So we
when we
trademarked it
shortened it.
E5, and thanks to you finishers,
That's right. We shortened it.
we shortened it,
And
and
it
it
stuck.
lives on today, and it's stuck. So as we continued down this journey, Giving Hope was really picking up and starting to get where it is. I literally had to start breaking ground on this.
Well, and should we talk about the partners that we met through this company through Specification Products at the time, selling E5, we would go into the engineers and architects, and we would educate. We would have our presentations, but at the end, we always wrapped up. With giving hope. And honestly, that spurred on more conversations than anything. People in the room would connect with that. Hey, I've got a brother, I've got a sister, I've got whoever. And that became such a positive experience for us that I think, lifted E5 from the ground.
Absolutely, it did.
All the connections from that. And then through some of those connections, do you need help with giving hope? What do you need? Well, we need plans. And I mean, talk about the folks, the partners that, kind of developed those plans for the Giving Hope facility. Yeah, so all those folks that helped.
Meeting the partners, they would want to dive in, they would want to help, and I ended up getting the architectural concept out of my head and onto paper. We finally got that. We know what it looks like. We know what it's right. We actually started heading into a testing program. With an insurance company in 2020 to get this pilot. It was a pilot program. It was to be piloted to see what this was.
How are we going to do this?
People started to grab this is something else.
Right.
And as that pilot started to grow in 2020, here comes COVID. COVID messed it all up. They took it all away, took all the financing away. It's never been resurrected because of COVID. And we're now still trying to get things resurrected and moving in the right direction.
Right.
It's not as easy since COVID because a lot of the programs, funding, and everything got cut for all this. So the people that need it most are suffering more today than they were back then.
Right.
So it's very important.
And at
that
the same
this
time,
succeeds.
We were building E5.
Yeah,
right?
and that's when we decided decision. As the owner, I said, all right, this is going to be shut down for a while because there's nothing we can do about it. We're in the middle of whatever we are with COVID. Let's turn our focus on E5. Now let's all of us bury in and let's build the little conduit. I call it the tugboat. It's the little tugboat.
It is.
Let's build this tugboat because we got to pull in the big boat and let's hit it. And so in 2020, we put on our big conference in Chicago. Man, we thought we were rolling.
Oh, man, yes.
We invited all these people in Chicago. We had the Chicago Ready Mix people there. We had people.
The insurance guys.
We held it in the Willis Tower.
Oh, yes, sir.
So
it was special.
We get there, and it was a great meeting. Everything's great. We had people flying from Mississippi for the thing. It was awesome.
Yeah, all over the country.
So after that, we get out of there, and I had met a very influential manufacturer that had been trying to put these type of products in the industry for 30 to 40 years.
And tens of millions of dollars spent to get it into the industry.
This is a $1 billion manufacturer.
And here you are.
And here I am, a little
Midwest,
guy.
Blue collar finisher.
From Pendleton, Indiana.
I found some of your product.
And what I was looking for the best. One thing that I will tell you about myself, I like good products, and I want the best material. My name's on it. I want to make sure it's the best. And I kept searching. Even though we had it working, it still wasn't good enough for me.
Well, and that search for knowledge, I want to know more. What else can this do? Can it do more? Right?
Yes. And when we was at that thing, he came to listen to all what we had going on. Well, we met after the meeting. We went and had dinner. And we sat and talked, and I told him how I kind of started. It was always about giving hope. It was never about building a chemical company. I started with this and so on and so on.
And that was every conversation.
That was every conversation I ever had. It was all about giving hope.
We were pointing to the computer, but we brought giving hope into every conversation.
So as I'm sitting there telling my story, and the other gentleman that's with him was kind of like, and I told him what my vision and goal with this was in the next 5 to 10 years, he just kind of laughed. Like, how are you going to do this?
Yeah, we've tried this already.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I said, well, I believe I have a different helper than most people. And I said, unless you believe in God, I believe he's my helper. He's my divine motivator, and he's pushed me toward, because that's what we're here to do, is to help people no matter what. And we left that meeting, and we had started to strike up an email conversation, and I wanted to order a certain product made a certain way to do my testing, built off what I already had, to see if it could be any better, more reliable. And what I mean by better is when you put it in the truck, it's not working 70, 80% of the time. I want 95 and above. It better be hitting 95 and above. The other 5% I can't fix is because all the other people's stuff that hasn't been vetted very hard.
You can't control those
I can't
things.
control those guys. But I wanted mine operating at optimal.
Just like your finishing crews.
Yeah. So when I got that first barrel, I started testing it, started going at it, and I was like, all right. It needs a few little tweaks, but I think we got something. So we tweaked it a little bit, and then I started to transfer from this manufacturer over to this, and then I kept trying to buy more and buy more and buy more and buy more. And before you know it, 6 months goes into it, and this company's going, how in the world are you doing it? Because 6 months that I'd been dealing with them, I had just had several conversations with Indiana Department of Transportation.
Now hold that thought. We're at NDOT. Now, let's explain to our viewers when you went from topical to integral, right? And then before the Chicago event where you met this representative of this manufacturer that obviously now we work with, where did the gentleman from Chicago that helped us understand what we had that was so important as proprietary, that where help remind me, because my memory's crap, where did that fall, the patent process to say, fellas, you put this in the truck, you have something special, you have something?
Yeah, that was on a job site. And then once we found it all on a job site, then we all went through the whole process and then got it, all that process pat. And then we did the full conversion and got rid of most of all the topical, was all late of 2019. And then we were full admixture in 2020.
Right.
Full admixture.
Which that can be another whole drama podcast that we could talk about. But a finisher that finds a global $1 billion chemical to put into concrete and solves the problem of when to put it in the truck.
Yeah. It's very important.
Right. And then calls it, right? You named it.
Well, and that's part of the metaphysical part of the whole story. You know, as I explained it to this gentleman that I was newly getting to know, and I was telling him that story, like, because he wanted to know. He goes, how did you get the name internal gearing? I'm like, well, whether you believe in God or not, I'm going to tell you the story. So here it is. I said around a group of people because we needed to get it out to the market for people to start buying, but we had no name. So I tried to give everybody a place at the table to come up with a name. Well, when you give a bunch of people a bunch of opportunities with a bunch of names, you get a bunch of stuff. And I don't know how you decipher on what it is.
It's like the pharmaceutical
So
companies.
I finally got a little aggravated to me. I said, look, give me a couple days and let me come back with all this information. Let me see what I come back with. So a couple days go by, and I ended up having a dream.
A dream?
A dream.
Okay. Not a drink, a dream.
Yeah, it was a dream. I can hear all the people now saying he probably ate too many Oreos or bologna, but no, I do not eat Oreos or bologna. I can guarantee that. I went to bed, had this dream, and it was just as real as I was sitting right here in this podcast today, and I was watching the reenactment of Moses and Pharaoh. Thought this is a pretty cool scene. So I'm watching Moses walk up to the Pharaoh, and he's telling him to let his people go, and Pharaoh denies it, and Moses lays his staff on the ground, turns into a snake. And if some of you know the story, the Pharaoh ordered his magicians, and they did the same thing.
We can do that.
But Pharaoh's snake was dominant and consumed the other two to show that God was in control.
Moses.
Yeah, Moses'
snake.
And then Moses picked his snake up, and it turned back into a staff, and he said, let my people go. And then in the background, there was a voice that said, Joe, then Pharaoh's heart was hardened. Ooh, I know what that means. That's not a good thing when you harden your heart. And he goes, he rejected the internal truth, just like men today reject the internal truth of my son. and they're going to reject what I tell you. You have internal curing for concrete. The same as I cure man's heart from inside with my son is the same I will cure your concrete inside. And he said, many will come and say they have what you have, but they don't have it because you have me. And I woke up and never changed it from that day on. I called it E5 internal cure.
Internal cure. And a lot of backlash came from.
I had no scientific evidence.
And and obviously registering and trademarking that name. A lot of folks in the colloidal industry, in the concrete industry, you can't do that.
Absolutely.
Can't do that.
I mean, I didn't have no scientific proof. I didn't have anything. I don't have an education. I don't have it, but I can tell you what I do have. I went out there every day in that concrete. When I was pouring it, I watched it do it every day. I watched those slabs stay darker, longer, crack less, curl less, delaminate less, and I'm going, sounds good to me. Sounds like a great ACI 308 definition. Move forward. And it wasn't until I met Dr. Luna, she had to prove it out. I said, what I'm doing in the field, I don't need you to recreate.
Replicate in the field.
I want you to prove why I'm working.
What is it doing?
When I met Luna, I had never stepped on a university
College campus
ever. I was nervous wreck. And as I'm explaining this story to that gentleman, I'm trying to buy this global manufacturer's buy-in on. He's looking at me a little like, this guy's off his rocker. But as I told him, I said, until Luna got a hold and I got a relationship with her and she started to study this and understand what I was saying from the finishing world, that is two key things. If anything anybody hears, learn the person's definitions of words so that you both can get on the same page. Until I learned Luna's definitions of words and until she learned mine, we couldn't get anywhere.
Talking the same thing, meaning different.
And we were two ships passing. Man, once we got in sync that I said, hey, my concrete feels like this, and it's doing this, and this is why I think. And then she'd go, well, I never thought about it that way. And then when she would say, Joe, this is what I mean by, agglomerations or this or that. And I'm going, oh, okay. So then I would start to like pull in. So I got a college education directly.
You got a PhD.
Directly. I mean, I spent 4 years with her just back and forth teaching and absorbing every piece of knowledge I could from her and understanding her. And then I started to understand what I was dealing with, and then it made me better to explain what I wanted to the manufacturers. So when I'm telling this manufacturer that, he's just blown away. Like, there's just no way.
We already did this.
We've already tried this. Why? Because, but his go-to was to the big boys.
Right.
Go to this.
The other
go to the
large
Sikas,
manufacturers.
the Euclids, the master builders.
They've already got distribution. If we could just sell them on this product.
If we can buy it, they're going to do it. And I told him, I said, why would you do that?
Well, that's all they know.
Right. And I said, those companies have solutions for, God, I think for everything in concrete, that even stuff we don't even have problems with.
Right.
They have a product. So you're not going to get them to buy in on something that could disrupt
and take away
products.
50%, 80% of their catalog.
I said, I didn't think that way. I thought this way. I got a solution for concrete finishers that are hurting, that are sick and tired of messing around with problems every day, being called to work, getting on meetings, spending money in lawsuits that was not our problems. And when I come across this and started seeing how this was working and how I could, I'm not going to use the word eliminate products, but start reducing the chemical makeup of our concrete and our problems can reduce, but I'm all in, push this thing 100% and get it going. So I just took the system and solution back up.
To the people that needed it.
To people that needed it.
Not the distributors, not the manufacturers, but the people that needed it.
And I know what people are going to watch this podcast. Chemical companies and everything. Then they're going to go, well, we're going to go try to start push to finishers. I want to tell you something. Finishers know finishers, and they also know BS.
I can smell
and you're not going to go send some little loafer guy with an admixture tie on and everything else and think you're going to sell it to the concrete finishers. Not going to work. We're way too smart for that. We are now being educated by Google AI and everything else. We know what's going on now. And my obligation is to give them as much education to make their life easier so that they get home sooner.
Right.
That's my goal. As I continue to work with the manufacturer, and he started to see it growth, where his eyes got open is when me and NDOT got connected. NDOT was not something I went and searched out. I had a phone call from my friend and said, hey, you need to reach out to Indiana Department of Transportation. They would like an explanation on what you're doing. I told that gentleman, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, people think in a box, but they have a way of thinking in a box, closing the lid, and somehow sticking their hand out and locking it.
There's a box inside of a box inside of a box.
And I said, I'm not interested in that, because this is a technology that has to be able to be understood. It has to be able to breathe, have energy, and to accept failures, because it's not always going to pass, because it's going to continue teaching us for a long time.
And there was the hesitation of if it grows too big too fast, we can't control it.
That's right.
Right? Like we wanted to make sure that every pour we were on, every job was successful, and this thing just had a good track record.
Correct.
Putting in the hands of NDOT, way too big, way too fast.
So I told the guy, I said, nah, I don't have time right now, and I got other stuff to do. And he goes, Joe, I'm telling you, you better call him. Well, this is a week before Thanksgiving. So I'm driving around going to job sites that had been poured, and I'm always on job sites. Where every 5 was being poured, I was on. Any of my people, we were on them, educating, teaching, showing them how to do it, what to do.
The finisher's mindset.
So I'm driving around the next job, and I felt that voice in my head, or in my heart, like I always do. He goes, you need to call him. It's your next piece. I don't really want to do this, but I'm going to. So I picked the phone up and I call. Said, hi, my name's Joe Shirley. I'm with E5. I understand you've got some information you'd like to know about my product.
Yes.
And the material scientist guy goes, yeah, really love to know what you're doing. Can't get anybody to answer. We've asked all of our top people we know around the industry, and they can't give me a straight answer of what this is. And we're having all kinds of problems. And I said, okay, well, if you can give me 30 minutes, I don't know how your world works, but I have heard it's slow, and his meeting times don't get set up quickly. And he goes, yeah, you're right about that. We might not, I need 4 or 5 people in this meeting, and it probably won't happen soon, but
we'll get it on the books. We'll
get it on the
schedule
books.
it and we'll let you know.
So I hung the phone up thinking, yes, thank God.
I've got time.
Hey, you got to do this. I'm driving around doing my thing, and I look down and see a phone call. And really? Hey, Joe, just want to let you know, for some reason, I got all these guys can be in this meeting on December 17th. That's my birthday. Okay, I'll be there. So December 17th rolls up. Normally, I go by myself. I'd be with Megan. Megan usually goes with me, keeps notes on all my meetings. But this time, the Lord told me to go by myself. He had something for me. I said, okay. Well, I walk in. There's 3 gentlemen sitting there, and one of the others was running late. Okay. So we start, and I'm going through.
Chit-chat.
Yeah, we're going through the thing and what I'm doing. And, I'm talking to their PhD side and all the people he wanted me to talk. And to be honest with you, I had no clue.
You didn't know anybody? You didn't know their titles?
Dude, I don't know anything about their structure.
To
I was just telling
Indianapolis
them, Yeah, it was their main headquarters. I'm just talking about what I'm doing in the commercial world, how we're seeing this, and that. And lo and behold, about 45 minutes in, this guy walks in, and this guy looked like he had a rough night.
Okay.
And my eyes were kind of like, whoa, what is this? So he comes down and
didn't look the part per se.
No, I just did not look the part. He looked like a night that I had with Hannah a few times.
Oh, sure.
Like, oh, good Lord.
Right.
Just get
worn out.
Throw me some clothes on, I'm done.
Right.
So he comes in, he sits next to me. I kind of finish up and everything. And one of the gentlemen goes, well, Joe, I got a couple questions for you, if you don't mind. I guess you're also doing this for a different reason. I'd like to know, because it could affect my community. And I'm like, what do you mean your community? He goes, well, I live in Pendleton. I'm like, really? Well, I guess it could have some bearing on your community. I said, well, gentlemen, I don't like to talk about this because this is not what I'm here for. But I said, why I why I am doing E5 is not to start another business. It's to eventually fund this project called Giving Hope Foundation. And it's for families that have disabilities and troubles. And it's going to be built in the Madison County area. And my problem is autism with my daughter. She's nonverbal. And lo and behold, as I was telling the story where it was at, the gentleman was sitting next to me, was typing in things. And I kept thinking to myself, oh, God, he's fact-checking me. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Better make sure everything's right. So about that time, he turns the computer around. And he goes, you're trying to build this? I said, oh, yeah. And said, I could have used this place today because I have autistic children just like you do. I said, well, Lord, you sure do work in mysterious ways.
Right.
And that gentleman goes, you know, if his product works, great. But we need to vet it harder than any product we've ever vetted. We need to turn it upside down, left side, everything. Just tear it apart to validate it. Because it'd be a shame something in our own backyard of this magnitude that we're not part of. So let's make sure we vet this.
See if it works.
Turn over every rock. Make sure it works. So I left there going, okay, that was wild. I don't know. It was probably, it was 2 months later. We were at the Chicago event, and I was talking to that guy, the manufacturing guy. And as I'm talking to him, I get a call right during the meeting, and it was NDOT. So I took the call right there in front of him. And he goes, well, Joe, I want to tell you, we found a contractor. We explained to him what you were doing. The contractor wants to try this. And we think we can get this all done in June of 2020 and try it out, and he's willing to take the risk. And I'll say it right here. Big shout out to Dan McCoy.
Dan McCoy. We love Dan.
Dan McCoy.
And the whole McCoy pumping and
forward thinker, always looking to do
engineer brain.
Engineer. He's always wanting to push the limits.
Yes.
Something better.
Yes.
I never knew him, never met the man before in my life. And I said, well, that's exciting. So I jump off the phone and I give that news to this gentleman. And he goes, I don't understand how you're doing this. Like, this is, we never even got this far, Joe. We couldn't even get
speed.
We couldn't even get anybody to hardly try it. All anybody wanted to do was take it to universities, test it, and then half the time they say, well, it did this, did that, and
it
would fall.
Yeah, right.
I said, well, as you heard my story, this is a little different. So 6 months rolls by, and here it is today. It's June. First bridge. I'm standing there on this first bridge. And the trucks were about 20 minutes out, and one of the owners of the Ready Mix plant comes up, and they were doing another bridge about 20 miles away, and they were not happy. They just had 6 trucks rejected on air.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was like, what happened? She goes, that fly ash we're using's got our air all spiked out of thing. We had to send 6 trucks back, and I'm going, fly ash? For some reason, man, that it stuck in my head. And in my mind, I just stood back, and all of a sudden, it was like I seen all these little connections. Oh, it was weird. And I was like, you know, I can build this and do the exact same thing.
Eliminate the variable.
And so then, this is on my first bridge, and I'm supposed to be worried about internal cure, and I've got this on my head. So our trucks pull in, and it was a 658-pound mix, 3% microsilica, with a bolt-on of E5 internal cure.
Which, that was the NDOT spec?
That was the NDOT spec. Right. Usually that mix without us is very sticky, hard, water-thirsty, sets quick. It is not a very finishable mix. Yeah. And Dan goes, these mixes are not easy. So we start pouring it, we start bid welling it, and instantly the finishers are like, all right, what's this? Because they wasn't seeing the problems they normally seen. And then we showed them a few tips, and I'm working with them. We get down halfway through the bridge. I'm walking around down the bridge, go to the other side. I mean, it must have been 50 people there.
Right.
And I just stopped for a minute and look over there, and I thought, you know, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, Lord, if it's just one bridge I ever do, great, awesome. I am thankful I am here because
who gets there?
I couldn't have done this without you.
Right.
No one would have paid this way but you. And the Lord reminded me again, Joe, if you listen, there'll be many more. And I said, yes, sir. So I just kind of went over that thing. And then that year, we ended up doing 27. And then the following year, it went to 20, it went to 80. And then I think now our grand total up to 26 right now. We're almost 600 and some bridges across the country.
Mm-hmm. And growing.
And it's still growing tremendously.
NDOT, it was just fascinating to me to see what NDOT did with it. And you can talk about liquid fly ash and LFA and all those things that obviously spurred on a lot of other activity. But NDOT was kind of put under a microscope by other DOTs, the APL list and all those things. But kudos to our state, to the gentlemen, within the NDOT committees that took a chance.
Well, the crazy part about it is, I remember talking to the NDOT guys and saying, look, I really believe one day that the world is going to come to Indiana to see how concrete was transformed.
Like Ohio? Bellefontaine?
They're just going to travel here to see what we did different and how we do things different.
Yeah.
And now when I look back at that, see, LFA came to me on that bridge that day. That very next morning, I got up and started constructing it, putting it together, and then I sent it to Purdue. Mm-hmm. I said, Luna, this is what I think it is. I need you to vet it. Tell me to make sure it all works, and if I need to change anything in the chemistry. Mm-hmm. She started testing it, and she goes, no, you're doing exactly what you want. And I want to make it for the record. This is where LFA is not for strength. It was built to do all the other benefits.
Nothing was built for strength.
Durability, sustainability.
We already had strength in the market.
We get strength all we want. Put more cement in it. It's not about strength for me.
No.
Internal cure is not going to give you strength. It's going to give you a more dense matrix.
Durability, less
durability.
All the things outside of strength. Strength is one thing. E5.
And that's the one thing I'm so aggravated about in my industry is even back in my contracting days, everybody would throw strength in your face. Well, we met strength, problems not ours. Mm-hmm. Well, if strength's the end-all, be-all of the data and says if you get higher strengths, we have no problems, then why am I having problems?
Right.
So I don't want to hear that. I'm tired of hearing it. Mm-hmm. And people need to get over it. It's not about strength. Strength does not mean our concrete's great. It means our concrete's falling apart. Higher the strength is one
variable.
That's it. It's only one variable.
It doesn't solve the problems.
So as I told NDOT, I wanted them to see that our state would be known for this. Mm-hmm. It is happening. I mean, I just got back from a decent-sized trip that a lot of people from another nation are going to come over to see our own infrastructure and what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. International.
And it's coming.
Right. They are looking at Indiana, Midwest, and the projects and the people we've worked with.
Well, when you tell an industry that has been indoctrinated, and I'm going to say that word, indoctrinated, that wet cure is the golden standard, curing compounds a golden standard, and then in ACI 308, it says that we can use plastic and that those are standards of curing. And you tell them, not necessarily. There's another way to do this too, but we're going to do it from the inside out because whatever you take care of from the inside always reflects external. What we're doing with these traditional methods, we're trying to protect the external, but we're never fixing the internal. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a spiritual message right there. So that's my goal, is for people all around the world to come to Indiana and see every person that's been involved in this, every producer, every contractor that's been involved in this, that, hey, it all started right here in Indianapolis, Indiana.
And I love when you talk about the pyramid effect, because as you talk about all these groups that were moving around you, right? You had the Purdue connection, right? Mm-hmm. Where you started vetting and testing and researching, and then you had the manufacturer contact, where now you were kind of opened Pandora's box per se to say, we can do all kind. What else can I do with this? And then NDOT comes along, and because of all those connections, NDOT relied on Purdue for a ton of testing and transparency, and that's where, I mean, let's give a ton of credit to what you did with Purdue prior to NDOT, right? NDOT just doesn't change things. But because of all the work that you had done, or we had done with all the research and development, it was incredibly transparent. Anything we did was shared, right? There was no cloak and dagger. There was no
open book.
Yeah, and then with the manufacturer, all those three pieces you were able to change. Then liquid fly ash came along because what you knew you could do, what Purdue vetted and said you could do, and then what NDOT was like, well, this is what we need. And then those 6 trucks that were rejected, everything was like, I can only see all these pieces and parts spinning in your head, because I think that's how you operate too. You're a man that just loves to spin all these plates and then see, well, how can that ultimately affect giving hope?
That's it. It's all back to this piece, back to giving hope.
That was the goal.
Mm-hmm. Always is. Now, my relationship now with this other manufacturer, they have my recipes. They begged me for a while for the LFA pieces because LFA is quite a universal product, can be built in many different ways, and it's being used in different parts of the country for different, like in Texas, we have one that helps in conjunction mitigate ASR. And when I say in conjunction with, it's not the cure-all, be-all of ASR, but it is very powerful of maintaining and flatlining the curve. What I've noticed on a lot of ASR tests is that the test goes up, it passed the test, but the line's still going. What's it do on day 45? Would it stop? No, that means it's still going. Okay, I'd like to see that line go up and flat. Like that means, all right, we're taking care of the problem. We're not passing the test and the problem's still there.
Right.
Well, I think that's garbage.
Right.
I think what you need to do is be honest. Test, flatline the curve. Once you flatline the curve, then I know the owner who's spending his money or the taxpayer that's spending his money is getting his money's worth. So that's what I'm always looking for to bringing in the solutions, not just to pass the test. I want the test passed and flattened, meaning that problem's never going to show.
And I think that's been our MO, since, we've been doing this for 10, 11 years now. It's been our MO of being transparent.
Yes.
Just showing people everything that we've done, pass or fail or otherwise. There are tests that don't work as well with colloidal silica, and being transparent, saying, it's not going to do so well with that test, but there's a reason. Let's talk through that, right? It's that transparency that probably your dad instilled in you, your mom instilled in you, and all these perfect worlds.
I mean, my dad was. I mean, up to the day he died, he couldn't understand why he's dealing chemicals. Like in his book, it's 6-bag concrete and wet cure and go on. I don't understand why you guys make it so complex. I said, Dad, we have different materials, but the schedules and the speed at which we want it is what's complicated. And what we're not teaching ourselves, when we want speed and we want control of that speed, we have to give up something.
Sacrifice.
Quality is what we're giving up every time. You build something quicker, you can daggone well it's not going to last as long, period. So that's why we have to mess with these chemicals. Yeah. I'm not saying colloidal silica is the end-all, be-all, and we're never going to find another solution. But I will say that right now, with the way the cement industry is trying to navigate us away from what I call cement and trying to get us into these other paths of cement chemistries. So as they're putting these in, they need to be educating these so that these people down here, the finishers and the ready mix supplier, can come together and go, all right, they finally told us what we're doing. We need to do this. Now the owner gets the best outcome.
Absolutely.
No one's communicating. That's the big disconnect. No one wants to say, hey, I'm doing this. Hey, if you do that, what's that do to me? They're worried about whether it chips their margins away and that this guy down here I love, is getting hurt every day, and he's aggravated. Right. And then we're building
the industry saw a change coming. They made a change, unbeknownst to the people that they were supplying the product to. So whether they did it maliciously or with intent, I think they saw that they had to make a change, so they made the change. But yes, to your point, they could have done a lot more to say, okay, let's work together, right? Yeah. Let's communicate. Let's be transparent. Oh, that's a funny thing to say.
I mean, it's not real hard.
It would have changed a lot of probably the perspectives and how people are reacting all over the forums and whatever with some of these changes.
I mean, if you look right now, just nibbing around in Facebook and things like that and talking to just different petrographic, how much of their business has increased of problems since the changeover,
right?
Then I think that way and go, man, how much of these guys down here below are paying for all this and don't have the money to pay for it?
Was it really good for the industry, or were we doing it because of some regulation or some environmental, green marketing?
And to where
plan?
I came in and seen this change, and people thought I was like dogging on it.
Right.
I was looking at it going, hey, if you're going this way, I need bits and pieces of information so I can help bridge the gaps, adjust, and so that way it's a smooth transition from this to the finisher, and then we can all go about our business. Whatever you did up here to the dough, great. I already know how to fix it. I can move on.
Did you say the dope?
Dough.
Okay.
The dough.
The dough. The bread.
Yeah, the dough.
I got you.
And then I can go and fix it. And they did not give you any information. It was actually reversed. They thought they were being attacked, and then they started attacking everything else. And that wasn't the case. Case is always down here for us. E5 is always about the concrete finisher.
Right.
How do we make his life better? Because when his life's better, our products are better.
Absolutely.
Concrete looks better. The finish is better. His life's better.
The owner has a slab that lasts much longer for the purposes of whatever they're doing on top of it. So everybody benefits.
So when I say that statement, I don't say that statement flippantly. I say that statement because I am a finisher, and I can tell you what type of moods finishers get in. And when I knew certain ready-mix companies were getting ready to send me a mix because it was in a spec or a mix design that they forced through our engineer because they wanted to sell something, let me tell you what. We did not have very good attitudes that day. We were not happy because we knew what we had to go through because no one asked us our opinion. But you're going to tell us we have to fix something that we already know we ain't going to be able to fix? Well, I can tell you what you're going to get. You got what you got. Welcome to the argument.
Right.
So why not just work with the guy? Don't look at him like he don't know nothing. Listen to him.
Or design something that then has to be manipulated in the field, to, like you said, making adjustments. Right. I mean, this mix design isn't the same when it gets in the hands of the finishers because hey, they're going to do whatever it takes to finish that concrete.
No matter what.
To finish their job, to get paid.
They want to get paid.
It's just that top surface.
They just want to get home, get paid.
Right.
That was just that's the struggle right now within the industry with all the new things. I love bringing solutions. Now I don't like all the politics and all the stuff that comes along with it.
You got to deal with it.
It is what it is.
You got it.
When I start, that's the new lesson for me here in the last month. Is be thankful for those that critique you, talk bad about you, are your devil's advocates or whatever. They're trying to tear you down, or whoever they are. The people that just don't like you just don't like you because you're trying to do something different, or you don't talk their language.
Most of those are online.
You need to love them as much as you love your cheerleaders. Well, I believe that's what the good book says. It says pray for your enemies. Pray for those that despitefully use you.
And let the negativity inspire you. That's what we were talking about yesterday, right? I mean, it's not the encouragers. It's the people, the naysayers, that you're like, I'm going to prove this.
The naysayers are actually the best people for anybody if they actually stop for a minute. You hear a lot of people say, well, I don't want negativity. Well, let me tell you what. You need a balance because negativity is also a fuel. Because if you can't take criticism yourself, then you got an issue.
Right.
I like to take the criticism and go, all right, what did I miss? What hole didn't I plug up? What data do I need to maybe show them that, hey, you don't need to be negative. But where the piece falls short, I will go get that data or go get that fixed and bring it back. They're still ticked. Well, there's a lesson for the negative person. Get over yourself.
Well, and to a point, that person, as we bring them data, and we've worked with a ton of naysayers over the past decade or more, as you bring them tidbits, right? You chip away at that negative shell. You chip away at that naysayer that then, in a lot of my experience, has become our raving fans, right? The biggest naysayers in the beginnings, as you prove to them time and time again, they then become, wow.
Yep.
Raving fan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's been fun.
Yes. So this was all a little bit of backstory on Specification Products, now E5. Come a long way since the very beginning.
Yes.
We have a lot to talk about from the days early on where you put it in the truck to where we are now. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's a
lot there.
ton of things to talk about. A lot of guests that we're going to be introducing into this podcast. A lot of good, finishers, contractors, engineers, architects. We want everybody to come on this and just share their perspective, right? So that we can kind of banter.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I want the normal people. I just want
Joe,
people.
I don't think there's normal people.
I want people.
I'm not normal.
I don't want, I watch podcasts all the time, and everybody's like, okay, bring the people that's got the name. I don't necessarily. I want the common people out there every day making it work, benefiting us.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. People build their statues.
Not us, not benefiting us.
No.
But benefiting the industry.
Benefiting the industry.
Open dialogue.
I
mean, let's be transparent.
Like, hey, I want to bring finishers in that, hey, just got off a slab. Hey, how was your day today? Explain to us your problems. Because your problems, how you fix it's going to solve another problem for one of the viewers. That's the kind of people I want to bring in. I think we've got enough education in the world. We've got enough academia.
Right.
We've got enough ACI committees. We got enough ASTM standards. There's no reason why we should have any concrete problems in the world.
We shouldn't even have this podcast, to be honest with you.
But why do we have those problems? If all these individuals that sit on this thing have so much education and all the technology we got, why are we still talking about the same problems that we've had for, I don't know,
decades.
400 years?
Right. Yeah. No. Lot to talk about.
Yes.
A lot coming up. We appreciate everybody viewing today and always.
See you soon.